Hey everybody. I hope you're doing good this morning. Crazy technical difficulties, but I think we got it going good now. Hmm. Don't worry, we'll give you a little bit longer show today. It'll be fine. No, weird stuff was happening with this, and we will work through it. Doggone it, we'll work through it. First it was a computer issue, but now it seems like StreamYard acting funky. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I do know that got a 10-minute video here of of a president that's a little creepy, but hey, it's something that we still have to show. I think it goes to show. It goes to show. I think they've edited it out quite a bit. Um, we'll see. We'll see how it is because it's screwy to me. But hey, President Stinky Pants here. There we go. Let's do this. There's your spot.
The markers are here.
Yeah, stand there.
Hello, everyone.
Watch this little girl in the red dress.
You got everybody?
What, you don't know?
Good afternoon. And this is a very good afternoon. A very good afternoon. Today we're bringing home Paul, Evan, also Vladimir. 3 American citizens, 1 American.
So this girl in the red dress is reading the teleprompter. And you can see her reactions because I don't think he's reading what he's supposed to be reading. I saw this and no, kudos to these families that are that they're getting their families back, their parents back. But this does get a little cringe.
American green card holder. All 4 have been imprisoned unjustly in Russia. Paul for nearly 6 years. Vladimir since 2022. Evan since March of 2023. And Alsu since October of 2023. Russian authorities arrested them, convicted them in show trials, and sentenced them to long prison terms with absolutely no legitimate reason whatsoever. None.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds familiar. Long show trials. Properly prisoned with no proof whatsoever. Sound familiar? But that's the thing about show trials is they're for show. Interesting, but I digress.
Paul, a former Marine, was in Russia for a wedding. Evan, a journalist with a Russian in Russia, was in Russia, signed by the Wall Street Journal. Alsu, also a journalist, was in Russia to see family. All 3 falsely accused of being spies. And Vladimir was a Russian citizen by birth and holds an American green card. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and was a pallbearer at my friend John McCain's funeral with me.
Oh. So I want to play that back again because that's a little odd. But what in the hell is going on with this camera right here? What is up with this damn camera down here? What kind of shot or picture is that? Where dude's hiding behind the bushes. What in the hell is he doing? Son? That's so weird. Are they ready to like snipe him or something? It's creepy. But you have to hear what he just said.
Birth and holds an American green card. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and was a pallbearer at my friend John McCain's funeral with me.
Oh, really? That's a little strange, don't you think? I mean, journalist, a Pulitzer journalist being a pallbearer. Something doesn't smell right in Stinkville. Just saying. All right. Can't quite put my finger on it. But there was a prisoner swap, and this guy happened to be a pallbearer at a famous senators. Okay. Interesting.
He spoke out against Putin's regime, and for that he was convicted of treason. And now their brutal ordeal is over, and they're free. Moments ago, the families and I were able to speak to them on the telephone from the Oval Office. They're out of Russia. Earlier today, they were flown to Turkey, and soon they'll be wheels up on their way home to see their families. This is an incredible relief for all the family members gathered here. It's a relief to the friends and colleagues all across the country who've been praying for this day for a long time. The deal that made this possible was a feat of diplomacy and friendship. Friendship. Multiple countries helped get this done. They joined in difficult, complex negotiations at my request, and I personally thank them all again. And I've thanked them personally, and I'll thank them again. All told, Russia has released 16 prisoners. 8 Russians who are being held in the West will be sent home as well. These 16 prisoners from Russia that Russia has released include 4 Americans, 5 Germans, 7 Russian citizens who are political prisoners in their own country. One of those Russians runs a human rights organization, Memorial, which won a Nobel Prize in 2022. Putin threw him in prison for voicing opposition to the war in Ukraine. 4 others were...
What? You guys wouldn't throw... You would never, use people as political prisoners, would you now? You would never throw somebody in jail for opposing a regime, would you? You would never do that, right? Just want to be clear. The U.S. doesn't do that, right? They don't throw people in jail for opposing a regime. That's not American, right? We would never do something like that here. That would be just improper. It would be improper to throw somebody in prison for opposing a regime. That's just not American.
With Alexei Navalny, political opposition leader who died in Russia prison this year. Now they can live safely abroad and continue their work of advocating for democracy if they so choose. This deal would not have been made possible without our allies.
No, you have to understand, they were living out what democracy is. Okay? You understand why they were in prison? That's because that's how democracy works. Okay? Democracy is mob rule. Whenever you have mob rule, that's what happens. It turns into a dictatorship. Turns into communism, socialism. It is the will of the people. And it's nothing better than having the will of the people burn witches at the stake.
Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Norway, and Turkey, they all stepped up.
A 5-head.
They stood with us. They stood with us. And they made bold and brave decisions. Released prisoners being held in their countries who are justifiably being held, and provided logistical support to get the Americans home. So for anyone who questions whether allies matter, they do. They matter. And today is a powerful example of why it's vital to have friends in this world. Friends you can trust, work with, and depend upon.
Which you're destroying bit by bit, little by little, piece by piece. Tell me again how things are going in Israel. How, tell me how that meeting went with Netanyahu. Mm-hmm. Where you told him he's to cease fire. Really? Okay.
Especially on matters of great consequence and sensitivity like this. Our alliances make our people safer, and we began to see that again today. Let me say this. It says a lot about the United States that we work relentlessly to free Americans who are unjustly held around the world. It also says a lot about us that this deal includes the release of Russian political prisoners. They stood up for democracy and human rights. Their own leaders threw them in prison. The United States helped secure their release as well. That's who we are in the United States. We stand for freedom, for liberty, for justice. Not only for...
Except whenever they oppose you, right? No, you would never do that to anybody that opposed you or demanded answers or asked questions, or you'd never do anything against them ever. No, that's just not American. Not American.
Our own people, but for others as well. And that's why all Americans can take pride in what we've achieved today. I want to thank everyone in my administration who helped make this happen. Our work did not start just on day one. It started before day one. During the transition, I instructed our national security team to dig into all the cases of hostages being wrongfully detained, which were inherently, well, we inherited them from the prior administration.
Yeah. I don't want to hear you talk about political prisoners there. Huh? Political prisoners. Oh, we inherited them from the prior administration. It's amazing that it took you this long to get this worked out, huh? Sort of like Griner. Oh, yeah. Remember Griner? It was a show trial. They were illegally detained. No, that's not what happened. It's how quick they got quiet on that. They didn't have much to say after that. The Biden regime just has to be must be just absolutely proud of themselves that they finally managed to get people back on American soil without the loss of life. They finally got a win. I mean, kudos. I know. That's why I'm laughing. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah. Some of them have been there since Obama. Yeah.
I wanted to make sure we hit the ground running, and we did.
They don't talk about that, though.
As of today, my administration has brought home over 70 Americans who were wrongfully detained and held hostage abroad.
Yeah, what about the 13 that you let die on airstrip? What about them? You don't mention your loss. You don't mention the ones you screw up, do you? You don't mention that some of these were there for Obama. I bet that really sucks to be you, doesn't it? Finally got a win. Yeah. He, like his VP, have no real accomplishments for the American people. They do have accomplishments for Marxists. Thank you, Toy. I appreciate you.
Many since before I took office. Additionally, I issued an executive order in 2022 authorizing penalties,
many, but
like
not all,
sanctions and travel bans on those who hold Americans against their will. And my State Department has introduced new warnings for Americans about the risk of being wrongfully detained.
Really? No shit? No shit, huh? Here's the thing, Joe, that you don't know. Is you can be detained in any country outside of the United States, being an American citizen. You can be detained in China, South Korea, North Korea, Japan, Germany, Russia, Yugoslavia, any, just name a damn country. You could be detained if they want to detain you. That is the risk of that you have traveling to a foreign country, is they can detain you. You can unwillingly and unknowingly break the law. So you can be detained anywhere, but unless you come to the United States and cross the southern border, then, you know, you won't be detained. They'll just go, well, you know, we'll just let you run free. We'll wait until you do something before we act. Oh, we can't figure out where they went, but hey, we've got our January 6th protesters. We got those, you know, locked up safely. Yeah.
By a foreign government. Deals like this one come with tough calls, and there are never any guarantees. But there's nothing that matters more to me than protecting Americans at home and abroad. And so we'll continue to work for the release of all wrongfully detained Americans around the world. Let me end where I began, with Paul.
Like by walking out of the room. There you go.
Paul, Evan, and also Vladimir and their families. They never gave up hope. We can't imagine what they've been through, all of you. Matter of fact, this lady right here, I think, was living in the Oval Office with us for a while.
Oh, this is going to get creepy. Even she knows it's creepy. Look at the face she's given. Look at her face. Even she knows it's creepy. This is about to get really creepy. Sorry. It's going to get so creepy. She even knows it. She can feel it coming. The look on her face is like, oh God, no. No, Joe's going to go all creepy grandpa on you. She knows it's coming. Here comes creepy Joe.
All kidding aside, can't imagine their joy right now. They're home.
They're not home yet.
Day. The 13th birthday of Miriam. Miriam, where are you?
Yeah, he doesn't even know who Miriam is. Oh,
you all know we have a
we're
tradition
creepy
in the
Joe.
Biden family. We sing happy birthday on any birthday. You ready? All of you.
Oh,
happy
God.
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miriam. Happy birthday to you. Remember, no serious guys till you're 30.
Oh, Jesus, man. No. He just went creepy on her again. You know, Joe, don't be creepy. A little something for certain demonetization of last night's stream. Thank you. It's back up. It's back up, Zach. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Yeah, I got something, Zach, because that's mighty kind of you, brother.
Nice.
Excuse me, ladies. Did you hear about the guy with the 5 penises? His pants fit like a glove.
Hey, Riding Hood, want to be eaten by the big bad wolf?
Fuck you, new bomb.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate you. Does he have grandchildren? Yeah, he has grandchildren. Yeah. Oh, this is creepy. And I feel for this poor young lady. I mean, good Lord. Even this girl over here, she's going, dude, what are you doing, man? Like she looks like she's about ready to fight. That's what she looks like.
She's Alsu's daughter. Now she gets to celebrate with her mom. That's what this is all about. Families able to be together again, like they should have been all along. So I want to thank you again to everyone who did their part. In just a few hours.
Well, why don't you bring the families up oh yeah, you couldn't do that. Bring up the families that their people were put in there before you. How about the ones that were put in there while you were in office? only certain ones can you bring up, huh? Guess that would be too much.
We'll welcome home our fellow Americans. We're looking forward to that. God willing, we're going to be out at Andrews and get that done. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is a good day.
What did you say to them on the phone, sir? What did you say when they answered the phone on the other side?
I said, welcome almost home.
How do you keep countries, these so-called abductor states, from simply taking more Americans in order to get more of their prisoners home? How do you end these perverse incentives, sir?
Oh, yeah. How do you end these perverse incentives? I wonder what Joe's response is going to be. Well, these are political prisoners. Here in the U.S., we don't believe in political prisoners. Really? Huh. Pre-scripted questions, of course they are. But you notice that the little things went down. Teleprompters went down, so these are pre-scripted, but they're written down for him. His answers are.
We're advising people not to go certain places. Tell them what's at risk, what's at stake.
That's not how you stop this from happening. How about never mind.
Mr. President, there are many these negotiations, and can you speak to the complexity of working with 6 countries to secure these voices?
Yeah, how can you, Joe? It's not like you can just pick up the phone and talk to a world leader. Hey, there's Joe. Let me talk to the president of your country. How it works. Every now and then, some brave soul will sneak in a rogue question. Oh yeah.
Look, I'm not going to take the time now, but I'll do this later in the week.
He's not going to take the time now, but he's going to do this later in the week. Okay.
Particularly on a great sense of gratitude to the Chancellor. The demands they're making to me required me to get some significant concessions from Germany, which they originally concluded they could not do because of the person in question.
See, that right there is unscripted. That's him about to say something he's not supposed to say, because it was not a good deal for the United States. It was not a good deal for the United States. I guarantee it.
But everybody stepped up. Poland stepped up. Slovenia stepped up. Turkey stepped up. And it matters to have relationships. It really does. These things matter. Pardon me?
Could this improve relations with Russia? Is there any avenue for that after this prisoner exchange deal?
As my sister might say, your lips to God's ears, man.
What is that supposed to mean? I watched the lame duck final months of this fake presidency. Yeah, Turkey must have owed us a favor. Yeah. Where's Peter Ducey when you need him? You ever watch Total Eclipse of the Heart, literal version? That is pretty funny.
Putin about this, or would you be willing to speak with Putin now directly?
I don't need to speak with Putin.
Well, really? You don't need to speak with Putin, or maybe Putin won't have anything to do with you? I wonder which one it is.
Anyway.
How did you weigh that decision of letting somebody out who sounds like got away with murder?
I got home innocent people.
Yeah, how do you weigh that fact that you had someone that was convicted of the murder and sent him back over? He was convicted in another country of murder, and guess what? You sent him back to Russia. Crazy, huh? How that works. Of course, Turkey helped pardon him last year in November. Joe probably being dead serious and not even joking. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Walking around trying to shake hands.
Ella, what did you say to your son?
Are you speaking with Erdogan or any of the leaders about this?
Say that again?
Are you speaking with President Erdogan or other leaders about this?
Yes, I've spoken to all the leaders about this.
What did you say to President
And by the way,
Erdogan?
as a father, look, you heard me say this before, and I mean it. My dad had a simple proposition. Family is the beginning, the middle, and the end. Blood of my blood, bone of my bone. I can think of nothing more consequential. I mean that sincerely. And having lost family in not a different way, and not knowing what's happening to their circumstance when they're accidental, with help, it matters.
So tell me how it matters that you sent Jill off to Hunter Biden's hearing in California, costing taxpayers several $1,000s. Oh, that's right. They took it out of their general fund. Weird, huh? Uncle was eaten by cannibals, right? Yeah. 5 minutes after the stream, the president always pardons a turkey before Thanksgiving. Oh.
Mr.
That's
President, what
what
did Germany ask for in response for their cooperation?
Nothing.
President Biden.
What did Chancellor Scholz say to you?
Oh, they're saying they asked for nothing in response for the cooperation. Right.
President Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages.
Yeah, he would have had them out immediately, is what he's saying. But that was yet to be seen because he wasn't able to get certain hostages out during his candidacy. So he screwed up there. That's what I mean when I said, Turkey, I pardoned him last year. Right.
Out without giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump now? Former president.
Why didn't he do it when he was president?
Same reason. Why didn't you get some of these people out whenever you were first got into office on day one? It took you this long to work that out. I guess you were too busy, dealing with your own political prisoner. Oh, I mean, sorry. Those weren't political prisoners. They were insurrectionists. Oh, I guess you can't really call them that either because, yeah, they were never charged with that.
What did Chancellor Scholz say?
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Go away. We're done. President has to go back to his bunker. Yep. So, here we go. Things to know about the largest U.S.-Russian prisoner swap post-Soviet history. Well, U.S. and Russia today completed their largest prisoner swap, involving 24 people. Many months of negotiations and concessions from other European countries who released Russians in their custody as part of the exchange. 24 people, some prominent, some not, included a collection of journalists. And now what about so Russia released 16 and we released a lot less. They were facing long prison sentences after being convicted by Russia's heavily politicized legal system of. Really? What about ours? Hey, when hearing the gaggle of Karens that always shouts out the press and then tells them to leave, it angers me like nothing else. Yeah. Also freed by Moscow was journalist Alusu. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Dual U.S.-Russian citizenship involved in Gerswich, Wella, and Kersmo all arrived late Thursday at Joint Andrews Base, but were greeted by Joe Biden and Camel Toe Harris. Russia also released Kremlin critic, Pulitzer Prize winning writer Most famous of the 8 people was Vadim Kaskov, who was convicted in Germany of 2021 of killing a former Chechen rebel in a Berlin park 2 years early. So he came back. A man that killed someone in a Berlin park. It also received 2 sleeper agents who were jailed in Slovenia, 3 men charged by federal authorities in the U.S., and 2 men returned from Norway and Poland. A breakthrough in U.S.-Russian relations? No. See, here's the thing. Biden needed a win. He needed a win. That's the reason why Camel Toe was there, because normally she wouldn't have been there for something like this. See, that's the thing. She had to stop doing whatever speeches she was doing or little events she was going to be doing or book around them to be there for this prisoner swap that basically she wasn't involved in. I mean, her administration was, but that's about it. Yeah. In 2022, Moscow freed Brittany Griner in exchange for Victor Bout, which was they called him Dr. Death. You remember that movie, what was it with Nicolas Cage where he, Gods of War, I think, or something like that? Yeah. That's who the movie was roughly based around. The Americans Left Behind, although Thursday deal involves with some of the most well-known, the other ones we just left there, which would be Travis Leake, a musician, Gordon Black, an American soldier, Mark Fogel. You hadn't brought those back, right? I wonder why not. Imbalance in participants? Oh, yeah. In prisoner exchanges over the past few years, the U.S. government's released criminals convicted of significant crimes, including drug and weapons traffickers and Taliban drug lord. The latest deal was no exception. Yeah, they gave out a lot. Could have included Navalny, but that wasn't brought about. Biden foreshadows commitment on his deal last week. He said in the Oval Office, we're working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjust. Are we releasing murderers and killers or thugs? Just curious, we never make good deals at anything, but especially hostage swaps. Yeah. Trump, who during his presidency had also taken interest in the hostages and wrongfully detained Americans, claimed during the June debate with Biden that he would get them out as soon as he won the election. On Thursday, he bashed the deal, suggesting incorrectly on his social platform, are we releasing murderers, killers, or thugs? Just curious. Yeah. What we did. Yeah. We brokered those deals. And of course, now that Harris is getting in there, guess what? Harris is, working her way into the top spot. Guess what? Oh, now they pull this crap. U.S. recognizes opposition candidate Gonzalez as the winner of Venezuelan presidential election. Now, aren't we supposed to be staying out of these elections? Well, let's see what they say. The stakes grew higher for Venezuela's electoral authority to show proof backing its decision to declare Maduro the winner of the country's presidential election after the United States on Thursday recognized the opposition. Weird, huh? Isn't it weird that they're calling for calling for him to look into this. Same voting machines that were used in our last election. They're calling into question the validity of those votes. Weird. Weird, huh? The U.S. announced it followed calls from multiple governments, including close allies of Maduro, for Venezuela's National Electoral Council to release detailed vote counts, but you don't do that until after you've got everything secured. The electoral body declared Maduro the winner Monday, but the main opposition coalition revealed hours later that had evidence that the contrary, in the form of more than 2/3 the tally sheets that each electronic voting machine printed after the polls closed. Given the overwhelming evidence, it's clear to the United States and most importantly to the Venezuelan people that Maduro did not win. So now you're calling? What did Maduro say? He said, the United States needs to keep its nose out of Venezuela. Really? Do you think that'll happen? Because it just screwed one of I'm sure a lot of politicians were gambling on BP. Oh no, this is about money. This has nothing to do with the leader of the country. Yeah, this is all about money. U.S. government announcement came amid diplomatic efforts to persuade Maduro to release those tallies from the election and increase calls for independent review of the results. Yet, whenever that happens in the United States, they don't like independent reviews of those results. They fight them in court for months. Weird, huh? Government officials in Brazil, Colombia, Mexico have been in constant communications with Maduro's administration to convince him that he must show the vote tallies. The officials have told Venezuela's government that showing the data is the only way to dispel any doubt about the results. Really? But see, if it takes you a few months to do that, good morning, Steve. How you doing? But if it takes a few months for you to do that, people tend to have a short memory and they move on to the next crisis. A Mexican official who spoke on condition of anonymity for the same reason confirmed that three governments have been discussing it with Venezuela. Later Thursday, governments Brazil, Colombia, issued a joint statement. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado was barred from running for president. Gonzalez addressed, whatever. Government repression over the years has pushed opposition leaders into exile. Go figure. That's what happens whenever you break, whenever they're broke in the first place, and you control the weapons and the judicial system and the power of the government. See, it didn't work on Trump, though. You know why it didn't work on Trump? Because he has a lot of money. So that's why you had to go after his bank accounts. Weird, huh? Weird how that works. Except he's more powerful than you think. He's also got more wherewithal than a lot of these other people, but you will continue to go after him and try to break him. On Wednesday, Maduro asked Venezuela's highest court to conduct an audit of the election. Oh, really? See how that goes? But that request drew almost immediate criticism from foreign observers who said the court is too close to the government to produce an independent review. Really? Weird, huh? Asked why electoral authorities have not released the detailed vote accounts. Well, because they're not around anymore. Maduro said National Electoral Council has come under attack, including cyber attacks, without elaborating. Russian interference? Anyone? Russian interference? Presidents of Colombia and Brazil, both close allies of the Venezuelan government, have urged him to release the vote counts. Well, he's not going to. Venezuela is one of the world's largest proven crude reserves and once boasted Latin America's most advanced economy. Yeah, they said socialism. If you want to see socialism at its peak, if you want to see democracy at its peak, right here is the perfect democracy. This is how democracy works. We have the power, we keep the power, and we oppress everybody that comes after our power. This is a beautiful example of democracy. It entered into a free fall after Maduro took the helm in 2013. Oil prices plummeted, widespread shortages, hyperinflation that soared past 130,000%. Led to social unrest, and mass fleeing from the country. More than 7.7 million Venezuelans have left the country since 2014. It's the largest exodus in Latin America's recent history. I don't know. Cuba was pretty recent. Well, I guess this was more recent, but Cuba was pretty damn recent. Weird how that works, huh? Weird how socialism, communism, democracy works. It just does the same damn thing over and over and over and over. So now, what options does Maduro have after all this? He's got a little blue book, see? That's a small copy of the Constitution, because, the big one would be too much. The world's democracies, again, there you have mob rules, have almost unanimously condemned the results of this election and call for transparent vote count to confirm what the opposition says is a landslide victory over Maduro. Didn't that happen here in the U.S.? Just curious, didn't that happen in the U.S.? I'm pretty sure that there was people that were calling for that, but no. That was not allowed. We're not allowed to talk about that because then we get dinged for election misinformation. Two of Maduro's closest allies, the leftist president of Brazil and Colombia, have recently joined a chorus of nations, including the U.S., who have expressed deep concerns about Sunday's presidential elections, which Venezuelan electoral authorities say the president won by 7 points. Maduro, however, has so far only dug in, claiming victory, jailing opponents, threatening to arrest his rival. The opposition says Gonzalez trounced the self-proclaimed socialist leader at the ballot box by more than 2-1 in margin. As the electoral standoff moves into uncharted territory, here are some of Maduro's options. Do the same thing the U.S. did. Arrest your political opponents. Go after them politically. Call it Russian disinformation. Hold tribunals. Delay on the vote counts. Don't have them open and transparent. Have your own people do the counts. Shizzy was totally gay last night. Was I? The electoral standoff moves into uncharted territory. Here's some of his options. Election redo. Oh, that's never going to happen. They didn't do that in the U.S. Why would they do that here? No exit ramp. One major obstacle is Maduro has much to lose from any political transition. You think? That could have happened here too. Foreign leverage. Oh, yeah, great. He knows perfectly well the more transparency there is, the greater his chance of having peace to govern Venezuela. No, here you have to use a playbook. See, the way that you handle this is every single person that protests, you arrest them. You charge them. You put them in jail. After you've put them in jail, you just keep them there until the next election. That's what you do. Maybe do a few prisoner swaps. Maybe start a war in a couple of other countries. Things like that. Well, you don't really start the war; you just fund them, using taxpayers. And then whenever it comes out that you're doing shady stuff, you get your news media to lie for you. Maybe start a couple of viruses. I don't know. There's lots of things you can do, you know. But these aren't suggestions. I wouldn't suggest doing them, but you can do them. It's amazing. It's amazing. So what's this? Oh, it's little known paper sheets are key to declaring victory. They look like Band-Aids. What are these little sheets of paper? They both claimed that they had won. The electoral authority proclaimed Maduro the winner. The opposition, represented by Gonzalez, said as evidence of contrary, electoral authorities installed more than 30,000 voting machines. Oh, really? 30,000. See how big Venezuela is? How many have they put in the United States? How many of these same voting machines? And by law, the opposition had the right to have representatives at all voting centers, but not all were allowed in Sunday or were ousted before the polls closed. After the polls closed, Venezuela's electronic voting machines can print sheets tallying all the votes each counted. Experts say the best way to clear up this dispute is to release those sheets, but the council has not done so. Here's what has been said and what is known. The tally sheets. Weird, huh? So, did you know this, that those tally sheets could be printed out? Fastest any form of government with strict nationalistic tendencies. Our democracy. Control of commerce, education, media, entertainment, rigid censorship, and forcible suppression of the opposition. Yes. Yes. That's called adulting, being stubborn, and seeing most things black or white. Wow, true. So, isn't it interesting that there's tally sheets that are printed out? Don't we use these same voting machines? Did they get updated where the tallies get printed out? Or is this something that they've always done? Why didn't we see any of those tally sheets from those same types of voting machines here in the U.S.? I mean, these are questions that I think should be asked. Are these the same machines? Huh? Do they print out tallies of votes cast? Huh? I guess that would be too easy to look into. That'd be really easy to look into, but yet it's they don't. Why aren't they? Why aren't they looking into this? Why aren't they looking into this in the U.S.? I mean, they have less than 100 days to look into it to get that stuff taken care of. Don't they? Or is that too much? Is that too much to ask? But I have something new for you guys. Well, I'm not going to show that right away. I'm going to show that right away. But what I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a coffee break here. I need some more coffee. It's been an interesting morning this morning. So let me kick this thing off with a nice little coffee break, and I will be right back in 2.5 minutes. See you in a couple.
Sandy shores, get a tan, Rambo the orangutan. Driving a golf cart, oh man, Rambo is half crazy, yes he can. Well, that SOB's a sight to F and see. Oh, Rambo's rolling, as the sun he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having an effing blast. Whoa, Rambo's rolling, as the sun he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having an effing blast. Shizzy on the tunes, coffee in hand. Rambo is a loon, and Shizzy is, well, that is too dirty to say here. Shizzy on the dunes, coffee in hand. Rambo is a loon, and Shizzy is a... That is too dirty to say here, Oh, Rambo's rolling, As the sun, he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having an effing blast. Otters in the surf, hummingbirds in the sky. Rambo honks the horn and spits in Shizzy's eye. Oh my! Oh, Rambo's rolling, As the sun, he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having an effing blast. Oh, Rambo's rolling. Rambo takes a turn, driving to the wave. Otters wave their paws, telling Rambo, not sure, but if you could understand, Otter, it probably wasn't nice. Rambo takes a turn, driving to the waves. Otters wave their paws, telling Rambo, not sure, but if you could understand, Otter, it probably wasn't nice. Oh, Rambo's rolling, As the sun, he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having a effing blast. So here's to Rambo, otters and hummingbirds by the edge of the ocean. And Shizzy, well, he might just be there too. Well, here's to Rambo, otters and hummingbirds by the edge of the ocean. And Shizzy, well, he might just be there too.
I love that song. That's so much fun. Thank you guys for helping me choose that one to use for a coffee break. That makes me happy. Reminds me of 40 Swing. Good morning, Heidi Bruce. Good to see you, Funston. All you fine folks that have been joining in. That's wonderful. So, now, if I'm not mistaken, the Senate rejected some legislation that would expand the child tax credit and restore business tax breaks. Now, didn't Biden say that he did not want this to happen? I mean that business tax breaks, because he was railing against this and saying that he was going to eliminate those tax breaks. So they're doing the Biden's bidding. Am I correct or am I incorrect here? Is it Biden, or should I say Biden-Harris? I think that would be appropriate, right? That they said that they wanted to make sure that these tax breaks went away from the wealthy, right? Because they call business owners wealthy. Because you didn't build it. Oh, whoa. We forgot about that one, didn't we? That was his prior administration that he was worked for. They didn't build it. Really? Business owner didn't build his own business. That's what Democrats think of you business owners. So let's see how they're going to spin it this time. A bill to expand the child tax credit and restore some tax breaks for businesses failed to advance in the Senate on Thursday. And guess why? Oh, it was because Republicans largely opposed the measure, arguing they would be in a position to get a better deal next year. Oh, really? Really? Why would they be in a better position to get a better deal next year unless they thought that they had a chance of winning? Schumer dared Republicans to vote against the tax cut package. Wait, no, maybe they were voting against out of control government spending. He said they would be voting against tax cuts for low income families and local businesses. Oh wait, no, Joe already said that he would turn this down anyway. Any sort of tax breaks going to businesses, but now it's local businesses that are being hurt by it. These things have effects. If you think that you're hurting the top 0.0001% of the food chain, You're sadly mistaken. You're hurting the people on the low end. Legislation fell short of the 60 votes needed to advance the measure with a vote of 48 in favor, 44 opposed. 3 Republicans, Josh Hawley and Mark Wade Mullen of Oklahoma and Rick Scott of Florida, joined with the Democrats in support. Weird, huh? Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Bernie Sanders of Vermont, whose caucus with Democrats, were also opposed to these tax breaks. Weird, huh? See, now does it make a whole lot of sense? Both parties are trying to spotlight issues they believe will play well with voters in November. Schumer put the onus on Republicans to block it, but there was also Democrats that were voting to block it. Weird. Isn't it weird how that happened? The question is, will Senate Republicans join in to give America tax breaks? Why don't you talk to your own party? Your own party voted against it. Roughly $79 million package. $79 billion. We sent more than that to Ukraine. Or did I miss something? Right? We sent more than that to Ukraine. It should help the middle class and the senior citizens. It upsets me that no longer shameful to have more than one child out of wedlock and getting megabucks at income tax time. Well, don't worry, because, once they reach a certain age, they can throw them in prison. Which you pay for also. There were behind-the-scenes negotiations, but senators from both parties accused the other of not being serious. The child tax credit is $2,000 per qualifying child. The bill aims to make the credit more fully available to low-income families by gradually making more of the credit refundable. Okay. Mitch McConnell of Kentucky said the changes amounted to cash welfare instead of relief for working taxpayers. Yeah, handouts. I'm not certain American people are impressed by message votes. And I don't think they'll give out points for incomplete work. The bill was fashioned through negotiations by Republican Chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee and Ron Wyden, Democrat Chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. It will restore full and immediate deductions that businesses can take for the purchase of new equipment and machinery. That's it? So you can take immediate deductions for purchase of new equipment and machinery. So that means you have to purchase new machinery and equipment. Even if you don't need it, that's the only thing that it helps. That doesn't sound like a good deal to me. Because what if I don't need new equipment and machinery? So how does that help me? I mean, are you telling me that I have to spend money now that I don't have because you're going to give me a tax break on it, but it's not going to amount to the amount that I have to spend on new machinery and equipment in a bad economy? I would have voted against this too. And for domestic research and development expenses, what? I don't need research and development expenses. That's not a tax break. Tell me how this is a tax break. Okay. Imagine that I've got a company. I own a manufacturing plant that manufactures these widgets. It's a specialized piece of equipment. It's old, but it does the job and it's efficient. Does the job, it's efficient. To get a new one, it's going to cost me $5-6 million. Whereas the machine I have now, just to repair it, is only going to cost me $500,000. I don't need to replace it, because to replace it is going to be, several million, as compared to just, $500,000 to replace this widget making machine. So the tax break only comes whenever I spend $3 million, then I have to wait till the end of the year. I can't afford that because just to get my widgets out there, it's costing me so much money that I'm almost at a losing. I'm just sort of floating right now, just barely floating along. But the only tax break that you're going to give me is if I buy this expensive machine that's probably going to break down. It hasn't been tested. It may make the widgets wrong. No, go screw yourself. That's not a tax break. I would be telling my politician, no, hell no. But the plus side of this is you're gonna feed some welfare mom that you put into welfare. She wouldn't have been welfare in the first place, but you're going to give her $2,000 more a month so she can have some more babies because it's more profitable for her. I mean, didn't they make a movie about this that the Democrats like to showcase? It's like Handmaid's Tale. You've basically got a whole bunch of breeders out there. That's what you're doing. Except they don't know it. Well, that's okay because if they breed too much, then we'll just send them over to Planned Parenthood and have that taken care of. Come on, give me a break. And this right here that they say changes in child tax credit would lift as many as $500,000 out of poverty. No, that does not raise people out of poverty. If you're telling me $2,000 a month will raise you out of poverty, then there is something sick in your head. There is something seriously sick in your head if you think that $2,000 extra a month is going to lift you out of poverty. Especially whenever, how about this? Get our energy costs down. That's a novel idea, Joe. Take care of our energy costs. Stop sending money to foreign wars. How about this? How about stop making horrible laws that cause people to have to do horrible things? Or allow people to do horrible things, I guess is more like it. The bill would be paid for by speeding up the cutoff date by which companies could submit claims for employees they kept on the payrolls during the COVID pandemic. That's how you're going to pay it off. So the government made these loans during the pandemic. Yeah, if you're not a business owner, you might not know about this. I'm sure you heard tales of it. But what it was is you could sign up for a government loan. Free money, everybody was told, in case we're locked down for longer than we need to be. But it was a loan with a high interest rate. So, boy, you want equality. Yeah. No, it's equity. It's equity. That's what it is. So they locked people in their homes. They told them they couldn't travel. They tanked the economy. They gave out loans. Those loans had to be paid back with interest. I know because my wife had to pay back the loan that she never used the money for at a higher interest rate. Whenever you pay that money back, that's what they're going to use that money for. They made unsecured loans out to people. Sort of sounds like the housing market, doesn't it? The IRS is significant majority of retroactive claims that are at high risk of fraud. You think unsecured loans and there wouldn't be some sort of fraud. Didn't we see something like this happen during 2008 during the housing market crash? Does this not sound familiar? Did anybody do any research into this? I told my wife it was a bad idea, but I don't run her business as I was told. Don't tell me what to do. Okay. Yeah, she wasn't too happy about the interest that was due on that. No, you want equality. That thing we had, we're now moving towards equity, which is equal outcome, not freedom. Of course, that's what it's all about. It's all about equal outcome, not about freedom. Never has been, never will be. It's about screwing the little guy. With the bill seemingly lacking the support necessary to overcome these hurdles, Schumer had opted for months not to bring it up for a vote, but the election season presented an opportunity for Democrats to spotlight the issue, and Vance Schumer even referenced the junior senator from Ohio when speaking on the Senate floor, leaving no doubt that Vance was part of their thinking in holding the vote. Vance claimed in a news interview that Camel Toe Harris, the leading candidate now to be the Democrats' White House nominee, was calling for an end to the child tax credit, but the Biden administration led the effort to bolster it during the pandemic and tried unsuccessfully to continue the expansion, which temporarily increased the credit to $3,000 a year, added 17-year-olds, and boosted the amount to $3,600 for children under the age of 6. Schumer called Vance's claim plain old nonsense and said the 21 expansion was one of the most significant achievements the Democrats have had under Harris's and Biden's administration. Vance also suggested the 21 that the political leaders who did not have biological children don't really have a direct stake in the country. He reaffirmed those remarks after clips of them resurfaced, saying this week, Megyn Kelly's show that Democrat Party become anti-family and anti-child. Yeah. Until it benefits them. You have to remember, Democrats only care about the color of your skin, the sex between your legs, whenever it suits them. All right. Whenever they need the female vote, you notice they shut up really quick about men going into women's bathrooms. They shut up really quick about that. Whenever they need the black vote, they become more important. Whenever they need the brown vote, they become more important. Whenever they need the gay vote, they become more important. They only flow in the direction that they need to, because they're like sands through an hourglass. Show agitation of our wives. So Vance went to the Arizona-Mexico border and did not attend the vote, but he did have a lot to say about his stance. Yeah, we watched that yesterday, but of course the AP didn't report on that. By the way, I'll just point this out. It's easy to know that the AP is complete bullshit. I mean, they do have the news, but they misreport it all the time. Wyden, meanwhile, said there's always a lot of talk about Republicans supporting families competing with China and cracking down on fraud in government programs, but they just rejected a bill that accomplishes what? Fraud? Yeah. It doesn't support families. It doesn't. It goes to support a bad system. So you can say it supports families, but if you're saying you're supporting a family, why aren't you helping out the middle class families? The ones where people are actually having to, hold 2, 3, 4 jobs to make ends meet. Not people that hold no jobs and spread their legs to make ends meet. You hadn't trusted your government since Nixon. That's pretty valid. So that's really all they got to say. There are certain issues that voters instinctively know that Republicans are better on. They try to make that argument in political ad, but I think it'll be hard to sustain when most voters know that it was Republicans in 2017 that cut taxes, and that next year it will be Republicans who extend those tax cuts if we have the majority. He's not wrong. And, we were talking about holding political rivals quiet. Well, we have those also. We have political rivals that are being silenced again. It happens on a regular basis. We have to shut down those political rivals' speech because, well, if we don't, then guess what? they get out of hand. We can't have that. We can't have political rivals, do things like that. Appeals court, they uphold Donald Trump's gag order as he again presses judge to exit this hush money case, but he's not allowed to speak of it. Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird that Trump isn't allowed to speak of things? Yeah. Appeals court upholds 2 months after his felony conviction. Sorry about that. Trump still isn't allowed to say everything he wants about this criminal case about some hush money. After a New York appeals court upheld his gag order on Thursday, he won't be for a while. The state's mid-level appellate court denied the Republican former president and current nominee the latest bid to lift the restrictions, swatting away a last-minute argument that he's unfairly muzzled, while Camel Toe Harris, his likely opponent, pits herself as the next prosecutor taking on a convicted felon. But yet. So, do you think that politics has gotten in there? That's back to fascism, yeah. After New York appeals court upheld his gag order, he won't be for a while. The state's mid-level appellate court denied him the right to speak, while Camel Toe is able to call him a convicted felon. At the same time, Trump's lawyers are again asking the trial judge to exit the case. Now, I would think that if there's a gag order on him for this and he can't speak of it, then I would think that Camel Toe should have the same restriction. That would be fair, wouldn't it? She would not be allowed to speak of it or even reference it. At the same time, Trump's lawyers are again asking for Trug Merchan to exit the case, saying his daughter's work for the Harris campaign underscores questions about his ability to be impartial. Merchan rejected those, of course. Didn't we see something similar to this in ex parte communication? The more that's happened again. Merchan rejected 2 prior recusal requests last year at the start of the trial in April, saying the defense concerns were hypothetical and based on innuendos and unsupported speculation. Really? In a letter to Merchan made public Thursday, Trump lawyer asked Todd Blanche and said Harris's entry into the race makes those issues even more concrete, and said the judge hasn't addressed them at a level of detail sufficient to repair the lack of public confidence and the integrity of these proceedings. Separately, House Judiciary Committee Representative Jim Jordan sent a letter to Lauren Merchant demanding she turn over any documents pertaining to Harris's campaign, President Joe Biden's abandoned re-election campaign, and any discussions she or her firm may have had about Trump's prosecution. Jordan's request Thursday includes any conversations she may have had with her father about the case, and the message seeking comment was left with Lauren Merchan. In its gag order Thursday, a 5-judge panel found that Merchan was correct in keeping some restrictions in place until he's sentenced because the case is still pending and his conviction doesn't constitute a change in circumstances that warrants lifting it. Okay, so that's what the appellate court said. The fair administrators of justice necessarily includes sentencing. Okay. The gag order bars Trump from speaking out about the prosecution team, court staffers or the family, including Merchan's daughter. Yeah, weren't they just saying that they wanted to have fair, free elections in Venezuela, and Venezuela was screwing up and they needed to show those tallies just like minutes ago? Oh, how it shifts whenever the finger comes back and points at you, how quickly that shifts. Trump is scheduled to be sentenced on September 18th, but the case and gag order could end before Merchan grants a defense request on Thrada's conviction in light of the Supreme Court's immunity ruling. Merchan said he plans to rule on September 6th. Blanche, DA's office spokesperson, declined because, here's the thing. Even if you do here's the thing. If they do decide they're going to sentence him, do you know how much support that's going to give Trump? You know how this makes them look if they sentence him? You don't think that Trump is going, oh, please, sentence me. Put me in with Gen Pop. Serious. I guarantee you, Trump is saying, go ahead, sentence me. I want to be in there with Gen Pop. Because within a short period of time, he'll be sitting in there chilling out with all those convicts, and he'll be sitting there having conversations with them. He would be the man on the block. He's going, go for it. I guarantee he's just like, I'm sure he doesn't really want to go there, but he's probably like, no. How about that? You put me in there. Trump's going to show up. He's going to start working out with the boys out in the yard. He's going to be dropping the pounds, putting on the muscle. He's going to come rolling back in, and he will gain so much popularity. Oh, do it. Put him in there. Because you're not going to break him. See, he would come in there and he'd rule that roost. You think that a man that hasn't run multi-billion-dollar and billion-dollar companies, you don't think he don't know how to run a show? Come on. There's so many of these boys that look up to Trump, and you'll give them a biggest boost in the polls if you do that. Because what other presidents be able to say, yeah, I'm a convicted felon. I'm just like you. Government done me wrong. And 30,000 people showed up for Trump in the Bronx. 300 showed up for AOC, and half were media. I know. You telling me that he goes into New York prison, that he doesn't become the man on the block everybody wants to be around? You teach him how to make money. Show him what a real man is. Gee. He'd get his own private trailer separate. Yeah, but the media won't be able to promote that. They'll try to. Go ahead. Sentence him. You're just making him a political prisoner. Just what he's been talking about. Trump is scheduled to be sentenced on the 18th, but the gag case order could end before Merchan has a possibility to, because it's probably going to get thrown out due to the immunity ruling. Blanchard, Manhattan's DA office spokesperson, declined to comment on Thursday's ruling. I doubt it'll get thrown out on that, but it'll get thrown out on its merits because it was bad. The appeals order ruled a day after Blanchard tried filing papers asking it to immediately lift the gag order. Oh. With a decision imminent, the court rejected the filing, which called the restriction unconstitutional, election interfering restraint on Trump's free speech while he seeks to retake the White House. Yep. In a copy of the prospective filings provided to the AP, Blanche wrote that Harris's entering the race had given the matter new urgency and that it's unconscionable that Harris can speak freely about the case, but Trump cannot defend himself. Isn't that weird how that works? The defense also revived complaints that prosecutor Matthew Cunninglingwell was biased because he was a Justice Department official under Biden. Trump is unable to air those grievances himself because of this gag order. Trump's lawyers have made several efforts to lift the gag order. Their latest fight landed in the state's immediate appeals court. Intermediate Appeals Court, the Appellate Division, one rung up from Merchant's trial court level after they struck out with the state's top court. The Court of Appeals last month declined to hear Trump's gag order for challenging, finding it did not raise substantial constitutional issues that would warrant immediate intervention. Really? Merchant imposed a gag order in March after prosecutors raised concern about his habit of attacking people involved in his legal matters. The judge soon expanded it to prohibit comments about his own family and that they made false claims about her. Really? During the trial, the judge held Trump in contempt of court and fined him with $10,000 for violations. He threatened to jail him if he did it again. Yeah. Trump, who was denied any wrongdoing, was originally scheduled to be sentenced in July 11th. Merchant postponed it until September while he considers the impact of the Supreme Court's ruling, which gave broad protections to presidents and insulated them from prosecutions for official acts. Well, this would have been before an official act. Just saying. The ruling also restricted prosecutors from citing any official acts as evidence in trying to prove a president's unofficial actions violated the law. Trump's lawyers argued that the trial was tainted by evidence that shouldn't have been allowed, pressing their case in a new court filing Thursday. Well, let's see what we got there. Prosecutors contend the High Court's opinion had no bearing on this case because it involves unofficial acts, which for the former president is not immune. Free. Manhattan jury convicted Trump in May of 30 of falsifying records to cover up something potential. Wait, so they couldn't, huh? So, huh? Wait, so if they're, so you're saying something potential. I'm confused. I'm really confused. So something potentially happened, but there's no proof of that. Actually, there's proof to the contrary that something happened because that person said they lied and then they lied under oath. And then the main witnesses they had lied under oath also. But they're not allowed to bring up those issues about their lies or prove their lies to be wrong. And yet the jurors found them guilty of something potentially happening, which he doesn't know anything about. Like everybody else around him seems to know because he has people that do his finance, but they seem to know this, but they want to claim that Trump was responsible for it. Sorry, that's a far stretch, but hey, you know, this is how things go. Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, was later reimbursed by Trump. No, there was no proof of that. He was paid on a regular basis, but yet they're going to say that it was that. With Trump's knowledge, okay. Trump's company logged the payments to Cohen as legal expenses, but he was his lawyer. Wait, so paying your lawyer is now paying something else? That's weird. I'm very confused. Very confused. I'm so confused with this. I am so confused with this. Trump has pledged to appeal his conviction, but he would not be able to do so until he is sentenced. That's why the slow roll on the sentencing. October surprise. But we do have this here. It says People versus President Donald Trump's timely reply. Trump's reply in further support of post-trial presidential immunity motion. And let's see what they've got. let's see. Supreme Court of the United States ruled conclusively, unequivocally that Trump is protected by immunity for his official acts, in this case politically motivated, blah, blah, blah. Trump respectfully submits the petition, replying further of his stuff. An indictment must be dismissed. There is no procedural bar to dismissal. President Trump's dismissal motion was not waived or forfeited. Supreme Court addressed first impression questions of lasting significance and issued a newly announced rule. Thus, Trump constitutes good cause for the time in the motion and remedying persuasive immunity violations in this case with the interest of justice. Split decision on Cabrera does not support any of Danny's argument. Yeah. Presidential immunity is necessary. We're here as a prosecutor seeks to change the presidential himself for his official actions violated the presidential immunity doctrine by presenting official acts evidence to the grand jury. Therefore, the indictment must be dismissed. Danny offers no independent arguments regarding the official acts evidence that seems to be presented to the grand jury. Below, the evidence violated the presidential immunity doctrine. Danny mischaracterizations. The president's arguments regarding as a vague and cursory are not basis for ignoring additional violations of the presidential immunity doctrine. White House advisors. The motion cited to so-and-so challenge testimony, which included conversations had with President Trump during his first term in office regarding such and such. Similar to White House conversations with Hicks, President Trump's statements to so-and-so were part of the discussions that were to seek advice from so-and-so, GR 731, regarding such and such. Likely due to the fact that the president's need for complete candor and objectivity from advisors calls for great deference from the courts. So this is where they're going to get him on this. Too many peeps would like to, 30,000 people showed up for Trump. He would get his own private trailer. Too many peeps would like to make a name for themselves, harming him for Gen Pop. I doubt it. No, that would not make, trust me, that would not be what they would want to do. No. You have to understand that someone like Trump demands respect. And doing something like that, oh, no. Anybody got wind of that? No. The immunity objects are adequately preserved. And so on and so forth. This is a very long document. But we're going to save it, see? Because that's what we do. We'll save it. We'll read it at another time. Because this right here is telling you the kind of government that they're doing. President Trump's official acts respond to FEC inquiries. Yeah, see, these are things that they used against him. His defense tried to bring this up, but again, they wanted to go hard at him. It's just like this. Because this has not become his issue. This right here is an issue for somebody else. This is an issue for the left because not at all is Trump making it about her race. It's the left that's making it about her race. Trump's just calling them out on their bullshit about it. Because she's made it about her race. All of a sudden, as he said, all of a sudden she became black. Whenever it was expedient for her to become black. The rest of the time she was Indian or her husband is Jewish. She's a chameleon. And that's what he pointed out. Kamala, chameleon. That's what he pointed out. And this is a BS story that was written August 1st, yesterday. He found tremendous success from the moment he stepped on the stage by stroking racial animus. No, you found great pride in stroking racial animus. And I'm not buying into your bullshit, AP, because that's just stroking up more racial animus between races, parties, people, humans, Americans. Because AP, you can go suck wind. Because I'm sorry, you're wrong, and you've been wrong on this for quite some time. You want to see how wrong people can be? Look at this. Oh, thousands of students were arrested at college protests. For students, the fallout was only beginning. Ooh, I love this. You know why I love it? Because you were warned. You were warned ahead of time. You wanted to go to college campuses. You wanted to protest. You wanted to throw sticks and stones and rocks and bottles and spray paint, and they had to come in and clear you out. And they said, if you continue, you will be arrested. If you are arrested for this, you will lose your right to go to this college. You will lose your scholarship. If it means that much to you, if you are so standing behind your protest here, if it means so much to you, if this belief is so strong in this thing that you are fighting, you have to be willing to suffer the consequences. Same way I look at the January 6th protesters. You have to be willing to go in there, to go and protest, knowing that the fallout from that could be you lose your job, you lose your home, you lose your security, you lose everything. That was the risk that you took doing this. Do I think it's right that that should happen? No, I don't think that's right that that should happen. Because you're supposed to be able to redress your grievances with your government. Now, the ones that got violent, broke things, were destroying windows and doors and crap like that, no, those people right there should have been arrested. Been charged with destruction of property and been forced to pay restitution for it. I don't think they should have been imprisoned. Anybody that harmed a Capitol officer should have been charged with assault, battery, and done their time, which would have probably been just a slap on the wrist, and they would have had a way of saying, hey, how is it fair that these people are going in jail whenever you had entire mobs burning down cities and that they weren't charged? Like I said, those people should have been charged. These people should have been charged. They should suffer the consequences for their actions. Proper education versus protest. If you believe so much, go over there. And demonstrating against, a college campus, okay, what did that get you? You weren't protesting your government. You weren't addressing your government. You were going after colleges. So what do we got here? Amherst, Massachusetts. Since her arrest in a protest at a University of Massachusetts, Annie McGrew has been pivoting between two sets of hearings, one for the misdemeanor charges she faces in court, another for violations of the college's conduct code. See? Right there? College's conduct code. College is telling you, we hold you to a higher standard. It was a misdemeanor. It was a misdemeanor. It was only a misdemeanor. Well, sweetheart, It has kept the graduate student from working towards finishing her dissertation in economics. Well, sweetheart, tough kitty. Like I said, consequences for your actions. It has been really rough few months for me since my arrest. I never imagined this is how UMass would respond. This is how the real world responds. This is those F around and find out moments. You effed around and you found out. Guess what there? Guess what there, chickie baby? Next time that you go and pull a stunt like this and get arrested, I mean, see, of course, they don't tell you what her misdemeanor is. Destruction of property. Could that be it? Destruction of property might have caused a misdemeanor to come about. You know, if I were someone's boss, and I'm just using this as an example. If I was someone's boss, where and I'm running a business, and I have one of my employees that tells me I'm going to go listen to a speech. He says I'm going to go see Biden's speech. Be like, okay, you need the time off, fine. And then I find out that they went and got involved in a scuffle, caused damage to property, got themselves arrested. Do you think I'm going to want to keep that person as a representative of my company? Say he went to a Trump rally and the same thing happened. Except it was a different, employee. Do you think I would want them representing my company as being a rabble rouser, stirring up problems? I wouldn't want them there. Like that's not, you're involving my business with your problems. I tell them to hit the road. I've got employees that come here to work, not employees that come here to make money so they can go, start some shit with other people. Some 3,200 people were arrested this spring during a wave of pro-Palestinian tent encampments protesting Israel. They weren't protesting the war in Gaza. They were protesting Israel. Because if you're protesting the war in Gaza, you would be talking with government officials. Why would you be on a college campus protesting a war in Gaza? You were protesting the campuses that were receiving funding from entities outside of the United States. That's why you were protesting. You were protesting because you want divestment. In case you guys don't know what this is, they want to make sure that colleges that are receiving funding from places and people and companies they don't like, that they're divested in the college. I bet any amount of money she dyes her armpit hair blue. Yeah. Endless and reimagined Marxist jargon, shat, auto recycle, fair trade, vegan hemp paper. While some colleges ended those demonstrations by sucking up deals with the students or simply waited them out, others called in police when protesters refused to leave. Yep. Which is the right to do. Many students have already seen those charges dismissed, but the cases have yet to be resolved for hundreds of people at campuses that saw the highest number of arrests, according to the data gathered by AP and partner newsrooms. Along with the legal limbo, those students face uncertainty in their academic careers. Some remain steadfast, saying they would have made the same decisions to protest even if they had known the consequences. Others have struggled with the aftermath of the arrest, harboring doubts about whether to stay enrolled in college at all. Yep. Like I said, some people would have done the same thing. They would do it all over again. And kudos to them. They knew what the outcome could possibly be, and they were willing to take and accept the results, those actions. Those that were not willing to accept the results of those actions are stupid sheep. In St. Louis, Valencia Alvarez is waiting to hear what will come of the potential charges she and 99 others could face for a protest in April 27th that lasted less than half a day at Washington University. 23 of those arrested were students. Weird, huh? You got suckered, didn't you? In June, the university gave them two options. They could face a hearing with the Office of the Student Council, or they could accept responsibility and forego further investigation. Alvarez took the first option. I don't really plan on being quiet about this. I think that the goal of the second option. The demonstration swept public and private universities on campuses large and small, urban and rural. As students return this fall, colleges are bracing for more protests against Israel. That's it. Because if you start trying to throw in and Hamas, you're not protesting against that. You're protesting against Israel. That's the big protest. And it's going to get worse this fall. You're wondering about your fall surprise. There you go. What is it? The October surprise? October surprise. Right before the election. Students are back in class. Major protests break out. Cities start burning. What do? They call in the National Guard. This would never happen. That'll be what they say. It'll be camel toe saying, this is going to continue happening if you elect Trump because he supports Israel, or I don't. See, they're going to say we supported two-state option, whereas they'll lie and they'll say that Trump supports something that he doesn't. Oh, you were wondering what was going to happen for their little surprise. Well, don't be surprised. Just get yourself protected. If you're going to college or you have children that are going to college, let them know. More is coming. I said more is coming. More of this is coming to college campuses around the United States. They're working their way to get in there right now. They're becoming students so they can look like they're martyrs. Their goal is not, again, I repeat, their goal is not to do anything but to disrupt. You think it's not coming? I'm warning you right now. Be very, very aware of what's happening. In your college campuses, they are going to take to the streets. You're going to see National Guard deployed. And it's going to be something that disrupts the election. It takes away from it. You stopped at your bachelor's degree. I saw what a grad student was really like. It was commie school. Most professors couldn't survive real life. I hold most of them in contempt anymore. I agree. Agree with you. Yep. Head on a swivel time. Just saying. Let your kids, your grandkids, your significant others, your elders, whatever it might be, let them know to be cautious. Don't get involved with these people. One way or the other. Whenever they're up in your face protesting, walk away. Don't argue with them, because there's no arguing with stupid. You can't fix stupid. You're never going to be able to change their mind. They are there to disrupt, and they work as a pack. It is a group mentality, and it turns into a witch burning, and lives will be lost. And it'll be unfortunate, and there's going to be people that are sad over this, and it really sucks because you're not able to defend your beliefs. But that's not the place to do it. Let them go and destroy the country. Let them go and destroy the college campuses. It shows the kind of people they are. If you go in there to fight them, if you go in there to cause an argument, let them do their protesting and just go about your day. Not get involved with these people. They're very well organized, they're very well funded, and they will not suffer any prosecution. And you, being a single individual making a statement, all it's going to do is get you arrested. I'm lucky that they'd listen to me and have a good head on their shoulders. I hope so. I hope so. Worry about your two youngest kids who are both starting college this year. Yeah. You should. Tell them, don't listen to any of it. Don't get in arguments with anybody over it. If somebody starts asking you how you feel about it, I'm here to go to college. I'm here to get my degree. I don't know anything about that. I've got no stance on it. Don't know anything about it. Don't care to know anything about it. That's the best way to do it. That's the best way to stay out of it. Even if you have your beliefs, if you see something wrong happening and you're able to help somebody, then do so, but don't go engaging in it if you can possibly avoid it. Because it's going to show how violent these people are. Because there's going to be those people that didn't listen. It's going to be like that guy in New York that saw a woman being attacked and held the guy down, and now he's looking at life in prison. Ex-Marine. Yeah, forgot about him, huh? He's looking at life in prison for defending somebody, for doing what felt natural, what felt right, what felt good, what was helping somebody else. Watch out for these people. Student groups, some faculty members have blasted college leaders for inviting police inside their gates. No, that's how it goes that's what I'm saying. Let the police handle it. The vast majority of these cases against the demonstrators ranging from students and faculty, people without any ties to colleges, involve misdemeanors or low-level charges. Examples include trespassing, failure to disperse, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. More serious charges were filed against the demonstrators who occupied a campus building at Columbia University, where they arrested initially on felony trespassing charges. And of course, those were lowered to misdemeanors. And dozens of students have had their charges dropped in a decision criticized by the Jewish groups. Prosecutors said there was a lack of evidence tying them to acts of property damage. If they were in the building, then they're tied to acts of property damage. And none of the students had criminal histories. Like I said, what good would it have done as you, my fellow Americans, if you would have been there? If you would have been counter-protesting, it would have just got you arrested. If you would have stepped in, what would have happened? It would have gotten you arrested. And these people would have gotten away with destruction of property, destroying buildings, breaking out windows, taking down statues. They don't get charged with anything. They're left alone. Prosecutors in several cities are still evaluating whether to pursue charges. It's not going to happen. A review of the data on campuses with only 100 arrests. In upstate New York, district attorney asked judges to dismiss 129 cases. I've concluded this is best dismiss these charges now and relieve all concerned and the courts of any further burdens, expenses, expenditures, and scarce public judicial resources. Again, no consequences. Domestic terrorist, no consequences. Because that's all it is. It's domestic terrorism. It's putting the fear in people. No consequences. And if you think them not getting any consequences for that, what do you think the consequences are going to be? Whenever you go down there and you protest against them, they violently attack you and beat you within every inch of your life, if not take your life. Oh, well, we don't have any proof that it was them. You're in the fucking building, but yet you're saying we're going to drop the charges because, well, it just would be burdensome. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is democracy at its finest. They know that they're not going to be charged with the actions that they've commit against people, against the colleges. That's why they continue to do it. Like I said, wait till this fall, whenever students are back in college. Do you think it ended then? Do you think that it's not going to ramp back up? Do you think there's not going to be another excuse for them to go in, knowing that their government is not even going to prosecute them? How do you think that's going to affect a college? It's supposed to be there for higher learning. I think the colleges should have higher standards. But of course, that's not going to happen. New Paltz students said they were sitting with their arms interlocked when officers hauled them away. It was handled very brutally. Well, tough titty. That's how it goes. Stop being a shit. Stop being a shit. They can't. Guess what happens every time there's a communist revolt? What happens to the shock troopers? Useful idiots, aka people experienced in overthrowing a government. Right. BS. That the ex-Marine is facing jail time. Now for what? Doing what? Defending a lady? No. Guy that's assaulted other people multiple times. Yep. And these people are complaining about being handled brutally. One student, Ezra Baptist, said he was taken to a hospital with a concussion after a cutter being thrown forward and hitting his head during his arrest by state troopers. Uh-huh. That's how it goes. You interlocked arms, you got taken out, they arrested you, and that was the fallout that you received. State police said if anyone believes troopers acted inappropriately, they should file a complaint so it can be investigated, because I guarantee you they put it on tape, it's going to show something completely different. Another police agency at the scene, the county sheriff's office, said officers showed restraint and that a trooper was injured when demonstrators threw bottles. Yet there's no recourse for them. What's that? They get wall time or gulag time. If any of them studied history, they'd know this crap and not be inclined to participate. Yes. Tensions have run high in colleges since October 7th, whenever Hamas attacked southern Israel at an event not unlike your protest. They were having a celebration, and Hamas went in. Open fire. Those that they didn't kill right then and there, they drug off and made them prisoners, doing unspeakable acts to them. Oh, you think that didn't happen too? Yet those protesters are calling for more of that. Bet they wouldn't feel the same way if they had been at that music festival. So imagine having 1,450 people at a music festival. 2/3 of them are deleted, and then the rest of them are taken as hostages. Some of them have survived, some of them have not. Some of the bodies got drugged back with them. Israel's offensive has killed more than 3,900 of Palestinians. Arrest put students' degrees on hold. It should. They shouldn't be allowed to graduate. They can take their happy asses over to Palestine if they want to. Go fight the good fight. See how that works out for you. I guess mommy and daddy wouldn't pay for that, would they? At Washington University, conduct hearings for arrested students began recently, but have yet to result in disciplinary decisions. In the meantime, Alvarez does not have the master's degree in public health she would have received by now if not for her arrest. Oh, my heart bleeds for you. Not a bit. I want that degree. I worked 4 jobs through my 2 years at Washington U to be able to afford tuition without pulling out any loans. You wanted that degree. Now you're not going to get it because of your actions, dummy. At Emerson College in Boston, 118 people were arrested when police were asked to enforce the city ordinance against camping on public property. All were charged with disturbing the peace, granted pre-arraignment diversion, which means no charges will be filed in exchange for 40 hours of community service. Owen Buxton, Emerson student, said he suffered a concussion when police shoved him into a bronze statue. It was his second arrest of the semester for protesting the war. No, protesting Israel. You're not protesting a war, trust me. Hey, how's it going, Celestial Force? Good to see you, Squid. Who's a Palestinian supporter? Who's the Palestinian supporter now? His second arrest in the semester for protesting Israel. The experience made it hard for him to concentrate or participate in classes. It stifled my creativity. It didn't make anything for months, which is not typical of me, said Buxton, a filmmaker. Buxton. Like I said, this. Ooh. I feel none for you whatsoever. I feel none. I feel no sympathy for you whatsoever, Buxton. It stifled your creativity. For what? You're a student, right? Oh. How do you think it stifled the other people's creativity to being harassed every single day? How do you think it stifled other people or affected other people that just wanted to go to freaking class and learn something while you stood outside and called them all kinds of vile names? Do you think that might have stifled them a little bit? Oh. Emerson allowed students to take the semester pass-fail following an outcry over arrest. Spokesperson on the Boston Police Department said anybody with concerns can file complaints with Internal Affairs Office. Department briefly said that there were no injuries during Emerson arrests. So Buxton, are you lying? But nobody's filed a complaint. Go ahead, file a complaint, Buxton, and what will happen with that complaint? At the UMass campus in Amherst, students recall a peaceful demonstration, with singing and dancing before the police arrived. They asked you to leave because discussions broke down with the protesters. Let me be clear, involving law enforcement is the absolute last resort. Yet, they didn't leave. So what happened? Law enforcement response included 117 police vehicles on campus, unsettled protesters. McGrew, I remember seeing police with riot gear rushing the crowd of students. A total of 134 people were arrested. As arrestees were processed at the University Sports Arena, graduate student Charles Sullivan, who is Transformers, said they felt humiliated by campus police. Aw. An officer said forced them to loudly describe their genitalia to gain access to a restroom. Yep. Because the last thing the officer wants is you hurting a woman in a man's restroom, or a man in a woman's restroom, or any other such situation. Sullivan has since decided to leave the university to continue their studies, in part because of the arrest, wrapping up a master's degree in anthropology. Really? You don't know anything about anthropology if you're... Jeez. Sullivan will move to Ohio in the fall to pursue a PhD instead of continuing at UMass. Sullivan, you're an idiot. Many campus organizations have raised for deploying police, including the UMass Facility Senate, which passed a vote of no confidence against the chancellor. In June, Reyes announced a task force to review campus policies on demonstrations, including the land use policy many arrestees were charged with violating. The group is just starting with their work, said Anthony Payak, a member of the faculty senate and co-chair of task force, who would have more information by the end of August, he said, just before the start of the school year. Like I said, it's coming. There's more of this that's going to be happening. There's going to be more protests. There's going to be more arguing. There's going to be more infighting. There's going to be more of this on college campuses. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is why they want a ceasefire. This is why both sides want to have a ceasefire, because whichever way it goes, you think these campus groups are going to go away? The divest community has been around for quite some time. Quite some time. Almost minored in anthropology, but I'm sure this person, the article, is polluted with gender ideology. They dig up a prehistoric male skeleton. They virtue signal about how we should not misgender. I know. Isn't it weird? Yeah. No, that's different kind of anthropology. You have to talk about the real anthropology that, that says that there's multiple genders. If you know, you know. Of course, in Seoul, South Korea on Thursday offered to send aid supplies to North Korea to help the country recover from heavy rains and floods that submerged thousands of homes in huge swaths of farmland. It's unclear whether North Korea would accept the proposal for help. Animosity between the two is being highest in years over their nuclear ambitions and the South's expansion of combined military exercises with the United States and Japan. Counter the North's threats, South Korea Unification Ministry, which handles inter-Korean affairs, said South was willing to swiftly provide supplies to address. They just fly some balloons over. I'm just saying. They can file a complaint, which will be promptly ignored. I almost minored in that. Okay. Yes, we see how obvious male pubic bone, but we can't assume they were a man. They almost certainly had 800 genders in 8000 BCE. So they're trying to help, but yeah, they don't want to have anything to do with it. North has not reported any details about casualties. Of course, they never would. But there is some good news for you. There is some good news. Squid, workout time. Go. You want to hear some good news? This is a show of trying to increase the economy here for them. Chipmaker Intel to cut 15,000 jobs as it tries to revive its business and compete with rivals. What do you think? What do you think the Biden administration is going to say about this? Right now, you have Warren going after NVIDIA. Senator Warren. They're getting the Department of Justice to go after NVIDIA because they consider NVIDIA to be a monopoly. Because NVIDIA builds computer chips. And other places like AMD, other Intel, Apple, they rent the technology to be able to build their own off of those. Because they hold the trademark in it and they continue to build it better. And Intel is not able to compete with it. So chipmaker says it's cutting 15% of its huge workforce as it tries to turn its business around to compete with successful rivals like NVIDIA and AMD. See, you don't need government intervention. What you need is a smart business model. And Intel seriously has a really horrible business model. In a memo to staff, Intel corporate Pat Gillenzer said Thursday that company plans to save $10 billion in 2025. Simply put, we must align our cost structure with our new operating model and fundamentally change the way we operate. He wrote in the memo published on Intel's website, our revenues have not grown as expected, and yet we've yet to fully benefit from powerful trends like AI. Our costs are too high, our margins are too low. The job cuts comes in the heels of a disappointing quarter and forecast for the iconic chip maker founded in 1968 at the start of the PC revolution. Next week, Gillenzer wrote, Intel will announce an enhanced retirement offering for eligible employees and offer an application program for voluntary departures. Right. Next week, that's when they're going to be doing that. These decisions have challenged me to my core, like Intel core. And this is the hardest thing I've done in my career. He said the bulk of the layoffs are expected to be completed this year. That's 15,000 jobs gone. And where are they going to get jobs at? These are guys in tech field. Guys, gals. I mean, whenever I say guys, I mean folks, people, those, all of them. They're being shown the door. You know what what happens whenever you cut 15,000 jobs? A large percent of those will go to unemployment. Those unemployment numbers increase. And if you think Intel is doing this, what other companies are doing this also? They're having to lay people off because the cost is getting too high. Their bottom line is shrinking. They're not getting returns, which means they can't return that investment back into their company and grow it. You can't hire the best of the best. So they're going to have to go through and they're going to have to lay off 15,000 people. And that's just Intel. Do you think your unemployment numbers are going to start increasing? Do you think they'll show those numbers in California? Or maybe they'll just say those weren't real jobs. Or maybe they just won't report those numbers. The company posted a loss of $1.6 billion or 38 cents per share in April and June. That's down a profit of $1.5 billion or 35 cents per share a year earlier. Adjusted earnings included special items were 2 cents per share. Revenue slid to $12.6 billion from $12.9 billion. We're talking billions of dollars. We're talking about big boy numbers here that they're losing. Analysts on average were expecting earnings of 10 cents per share on revenue of $12.9 billion. Intel's announcement of a significant cost-cutting plan included layoffs may bolster its near-term financials, but this move alone is insufficient to redefine its position on the evolving chip market. The company faces a critical juncture as it leverages U.S. investment in domestic manufacturing and the surging global demand for AI chips to establish itself in chip fabrication. Gellinger noted in a conference call with analysts that Intel has previously said that its investment in the AI PC market would pressure its profit margins over the short term, but would benefit the company in the long term. We believe the trade-offs are worth it. The AI PC will grow from less than 10% of the market today to a greater than 50% in 2026. Unlike its rivals like NVIDIA, Intel manufactures chips in addition to designing them. It has been working to build up its foundry business, making semiconductors in the US only recently, though. So it can compete with such rivals as market leader TSMC or Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Helped by Gensler's lobbying efforts since he took the company's helm in 2021, Intel has been a major beneficiary of the 2020 Chips and Science Act. Remember hearing about this? Oh, you don't remember this? This happened in 2022. Okay, it was something that was formed and was talked about in 2021, and it was finally passed in 2022. It was government money to keep companies stateside. That's what it was. Keep them from sending chips overseas. Government money. Now you see why Intel has been, why they're in the billions. What does Eric Estrada, Hodge, and John have to do with this? The Biden administration helped shepherd that through Congress. Biden-Harris shepherded this through Congress amid concerns after the pandemic that the loss of access to chips made in Asia could plunge the U.S. economy into recession. But yet they'll turn around and they'll say, but you don't have equal representation. You don't have enough black and brown people there or enough women. That would be what they would say. And of course, Intel's like, we make computer chips. We don't care what's between your legs or the color of what's between your legs. Don't care. Joe Biden, he celebrated that agreement to provide Intel with up to $8.5 billion in direct funding and $11 billion in loans for computer chip plants around the country. Now, did you not notice the numbers there? How much is that? That's $19.5 billion. $19.5 billion, and they're only getting $12.9 billion on the books. Yeah, that's a tenth of what was sent to Ukraine. Some of you probably remember Chrysler and the issue that happened with Chrysler. You remember the K cars about that time? Do you remember what it was that they did to Chrysler? Do you not remember? Where's the rest of the money? Yeah, see, Heidi remember. See, Chrysler was failing on the global market. Chrysler was failing in the US because you had good businessmen at GM. GM was top of it was Lee Iacocca. Yeah. Chrysler LeBaron, he was a K car. Oh, yeah. The government came in and purchased contracts with Chrysler that kept them afloat. There was lots of Dodge Chrysler pickups. Lots of them. Yeah. They were pieces of shit. I know, because I had to drive them while I was in the military. I had to work on those damn things. They were garbage. Bad suspension, horrible. And all of the government cars were K cars. I mean, it was in the billions, the amount of money that the government spent just to keep Chrysler afloat. Yeah, it was before your time. Yeah, if you were around in the 80s, you'd know about it. Born in the 80s, you definitely wouldn't know about it. And that went on for a long time. Quite some time. Taking up the investment in the political background state of Arizona and calling it a way of bringing the future back to America. At the time, Gensler called the CHIPS Act the most critical industry policy legislation since World War II. Yeah. In September 2022, Biden praised Intel as a job creator with its plans to open a new plant near Columbus, Ohio. The president praised the company for plans to build a workforce of the future. For the $20 billion project, he said he would generate 7,000 construction jobs and 3,000 full-time jobs, set to pay an average of $135,000 a year. What happened? What happened from 2022 to 2024 that all of a sudden now they're cutting 15,000 jobs? What happened? So you got 7,000 construction jobs, and you got 3,000 full-time jobs that pay $135,000 a year, but you just cut your workforce by 3 times that amount, 5 times that amount, sorry. So you cut your workforce by 5 times the amount. That means you destroyed 1,500 jobs by creating this. Or should I say 12,000 jobs. By creating this, you destroyed 12,000 jobs, because you have to consider they created 3,000. U.S. government wants to reinvigorate the domestic manufacturing specialist area of advanced computer chip, and Intel has been kind of earmarked for this money. But there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into this. There's building these facilities, which are really highly specialized, and then you also need to upscale the local workforce, and these plants are located, and so it also takes time. This is not something that happens overnight. No, but cutting 15,000 jobs does happen overnight. So do you think they cut the bottom of the barrel? Do you think they cut the highest ones? What do you think? What do you think? They cut the best? Or they cut the worst? Well, let's see. If you've got 15,000 times, just say on average they make $135,000 a year. $135,000 a year equals. You want to know the number? How many of you are really good at math? You want to know how much money that they just added to their numbers? That's the number they just added. That's how much they increased their core revenue. And, about half of that will be paid out in severance and that kind of stuff. People taking early retirement. This is how much money they just made by laying off 15,000 people, 15,000 jobs. Yeah. Because you got your 1,000, got your 100,000, you got your million. What's that number up there in front? That's how much money Intel just made in less than 24 hours. That's how much money they got back. And what will they use that for? They'll use that to build new facilities, to do more research, to try to compete on the global marketplace. And that doesn't include the money that they're going to get from the government. And this was Biden's plan, Biden and Harris's plan to help bolster the economy by granting special favors to Intel. Yeah. Toledo was hit hard by the auto industry plummeting. FCA is now cleaning house and firing people left and right, especially customer care supervisors in the claims department. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This right here is what to expect across the United States. You want to watch your economy tank, keep voting the same way that you're voting. Whenever people say that they're creating jobs in the government doesn't create any jobs. Never has, never will. Well, except for government jobs where they take more of the taxpayers' money, but that's only to benefit them. Now, if it was Trump Industries and they cut 15,000 jobs, what do you think they would be saying right now? If Trump was smart, which I'm sure that he is, but if Trump was smart, one thing that he could do was offer to hire all 15,000 of these people who got fired to work for his media group. I mean, they'd have to apply for the job, but if they worked for Intel to increase that, then he would that they would get top priority in review. Pretty interesting, wouldn't it be? Sorry to hear that, Heidi. Your aunt retired from the design team at the plant just before the first plummet. Yeah. It's getting ready to get much worse, folks. It is. You think it's calm right now? But go ahead and vote how you want to. Just know the consequences of your votes. as they keep bolstering politicians, and saying both sides are guilty of this, as they keep bolstering how great that they're going to do for the economy. This is how business operates. Business operates by cutting 15,000 jobs so they can make sure that they have that money for the future. You are just a number on their books. Don't worry, they'll rehire you whenever things get good again, whenever they can become flush, but they answer to the stockholders, people that hold stock in these companies. They answer to a board. They answer to things beyond their control. And they're doing everything they can. My guess is if the manufacturers didn't make it all the time and focused on making cars that people want, well, no, because electric cars are what's going to be implemented by 2030. See, that's that there will be no more gasoline powered cars. This is the vision of the Democrats. Hey, haven't you been paying attention? Because, we can really ramp this up and make it impossible for transportation to happen. Like, if all vehicles on the road are going to be electric by 2030, that's a lot of work to do. That's a lot of innovation to come up with. It's a bold idea, but it's all lip service. Ford died at 88,000 miles, only 4 months after the warranty. A Ford, I will never, ever, ever, ever buy it. Lots are filled with EV trucks and EV cars after, nobody wants. I'm waiting for a house market to tank. Average $250,000 for a home. People are living in campers at this point. Yeah. Oh, you think your house prices are going to go down only in areas where it tanks. You remember the housing market crash? Do you think, now see, you just couldn't sell your house at the price that they were asking. So most people didn't. Most people lost their houses in foreclosures because they couldn't afford them. They couldn't afford them in the first place because the federal government, yes, the federal government told banks that you weren't being equitable. You weren't being diverse. You weren't being inclusive. This was the consequence of what happened for the housing market. Because the banks were going to be put out of business if they didn't become more DEI associated. They started calling them racist. They started calling them all kinds of names, and they were going to cut any funding or support of those banks. That was done by Congress. That was legislation that was passed. And then there was the force of the people, that they weren't helping out the black and the browns, that they weren't helping out the females, but only because, they weren't males yet. So what happened during the housing market crash? Banks were told, you have to give loans. You are forced. If you don't give loans, we will cut off your funding. That's what the funding is for, so you can give these loans to people that cannot afford it. You need to give loans. So people took out loans that they couldn't afford, that the banks were forced to not review and not look over. And those banks that complied with it lost their asses. And then we had people like Senator Warren, Pelosi, Congressman, everybody on the left, everybody on the right. Oh my God, we have to save. These banks are too big to fail. The loans came due and they can't afford it. So what do? Let's take the money from the taxpayers, the people that actually said, yeah, this is a bad idea and I'm taking out more than I can afford. And Guess what? Housing markets crashed. People lost their homes in foreclosures. They're still reeling from that. Bankruptcies galore. And it got worse. It didn't get better. 2008, whenever the housing market crashes, whenever this group or person called Satoshi Nakamoto came up with a thing called Bitcoin. Because far too long we've been off the gold standard. Made it deflationary. There will only be a certain amount of Bitcoin ever in the world. It could be just like a pet rock. There was a time that it would cost, I'm trying to think, was it something like 180,000 Bitcoin just to get a pizza? Imagine that, 180,000 Bitcoin. I think that's what it was. I have to double check my numbers on that. Pretty sure. That anniversary is coming up pretty soon. It's for Bitcoin. Let me look real here. Pizza for Bitcoin. Oh, sorry, I take that back. It was 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 Papa John's pizza on May 22nd, 2010. Okay? So if we take that, just to give you an idea, paste there, 10,000. Let's see what the current cost of a single Bitcoin is. I'll just pull it up right now. Just give me a second. And got it here somewhere. Let's see. For current price of a single Bitcoin. Current price at its current price at this exact moment. You stop flipping around on me, you son of a bitch. We'll just say it's 165,000 for a single Bitcoin. Wow. That's going to be a lot of zeros. So that pizza is worth $650 million. That pizza in 2010 is worth $650 million. In 2021, you had an opportunity to refinance your home at a rate of 1%, but ended up not being approved because I had just started your company and didn't have 2 years worth of records to prove your income. Correction 2020-2021. Partly because your 5-year ARM adjustable rate mortgage regulations changed by a government regulatory commission whose ARM wouldn't refi before their mortgage interest rate raised because of the requirement changes. One of my buddies bought Bitcoin when it first started. He still holds it today. Exactly. But that right there, think about that. Papa John's, if they held on to those 10,000 Bitcoin for those 2 Papa John pizzas, those are the most valuable pizzas that were ever eaten. Nothing will be able to compete with that. $650 million Bitcoin in today's market. That's not even the highest that it's been or the highest that it will end up going. Of course, it could completely bottom out too. It could become absolutely worthless. That's the scam. Like, what is Bitcoin? It's a ledger. That's it. It's valuable to somebody. It's less valuable to other people. What if Bitcoin were to become the main exchange across the world? And those people that talk about, well, it could be used for nefarious purposes like drug dealing. No, because you'd be able to track where that money went to every single person. How many times have they gotten people's Bitcoin? Locked up those wallets, shut them down. Maybe it was designed by the government in the first place. Nobody's ever met Satoshi Nakamoto. It was a team of people that knew about Satoshi Nakamoto, but they didn't. They didn't know who was in charge. What's to say it's not some CIA op or government op? Hell, it could have been Russian op. You never know. Maybe it has nothing to do with Satoshi at all. Maybe it's a big psyop. Yeah, I was talking about the housing market crash also. So we refinanced our place and got a pretty good interest rate. Yeah. Nothing compared to what it is now, thank God. But we were able to do that. Fortunately, we saw that interest rates had dropped to a reasonable level. And whenever you refinance it, it does cost you. I mean, don't be fooled. It does cost you some money. So you have to be prepared for that. And they were re-incentivized to sell homes to people who couldn't afford it. Yeah, exactly. It's, if you think it's bad now, it's going to get worse. You just hope that it doesn't. Just hope that it doesn't get any worse than it currently is. Do you get back to backing our money with gold and silver? The gold standard stopped in 1971. Yeah. I don't think it would do any good at this point. We're so far in debt, unless we wiped out everyone's debt and everyone wiped out our debt, that would destroy some countries. They live off of that debt. The amount of interest is insane. Absolutely insane. So what do you think is going to happen with Intel? What do you see happening? Oh, I see it's about to tank. In a bad way. I'd be surprised if it in the next 24 hours that you don't see it lose half its value almost immediately in the next 24 hours. And that puts them in a bad position because then somebody could come in and purchase them up. Yeah. It's going to get worse. Much worse. Not saying you should buy or sell or anything. I give no investment advice at all. But that's going to be one to watch. Whenever they lose, they lost 29%. 29% of their value in what, 24 hours? 29%. That's going to increase. Their losses today are going to be unbelievable. Yeah, I just looked it up. It says Intel shares crashed 21% in pre-market. Nvidia on verge of losing $25 billion in market value and possible worst drop since 2000. Futures tumble on July jobs report. Amazon, Intel reports. Intel stock slumps on massive restructuring plans. Yeah, There's lots of stuff to watch. Market's going to go volatile today. They call this the chip crash. Is that what they'll call it? Everybody making their gamble on chips and salsa. It's not Cinco de Mayo, but guarantee you're about to see some really funky stuff happen. And then if you've got the threat on top of that of China going after Taiwan, takes over that chip manufacturing, where do you think that puts the U.S.? What do you think your electric cars run off of? Hell, what do you think your gasoline-powered car runs off of? It'll be blamed on Trump. Of course it'll be blamed on Trump. Yeah. Celestial Forest, no, FCA is a Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, Fiat. Yeah. Yeah, remember what was it, the crossover that was Chrysler? It was also Mercedes, I think, was involved in that. Chrysler, Daimler. Yeah, they've done everything they can to try to keep Chrysler afloat. You know, Ram tough. Yep. The only thing that brought Dodge back was them bringing back the Hemi. That's what got them out of bankruptcy, is building a better product. Those didn't turn out to be not so great because they've got engines that half of it shuts down, causes problems with the engine. Yeah. Wonderful stuff. Everybody, I've been going on almost 3 hours, and I will be cutting the amount of hours that I stream here shortly. I've got some stuff coming up that going to have to be taken care of. Some deep state stuff. Just kidding. No, I need to be a little more focused on a few other things. Today's my day off. I don't work on Fridays. I do work around the house, and I've got some shelves to build for my wife for her canning paraphernalias. Let me see, what was I doing here? Oh, okay. I was getting ready to send you guys somewhere here. That's what I was doing, or supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be sending you guys off somewhere. Oh, thank you, Zach. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that, brother. That's very, very kind of you. It's always a pleasure doing this with you guys, for you guys. It always gives me great pleasure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you boys over to go see, well, hell, who do we have going right now? Looks like we got Recovery Addict is going, Law News. Looks like Meme Copian's hanging out with the boys August 2nd. So I'll send you guys over there. Go say hi to Meme, everybody. I will see y'all soon. And you know, like I said, keep your head on a swivel and be safe out there, and hit the like button on your way in, the like button on your way out. Peace, y'all. Have a good.
Now I gotta call somebody to come get me because my car turned into a spaceship and I don't know how to fly it. I'm not an astronaut.